I'm Scott Fishman.
I'm John Dwoskin.
And this is the 7-Minute Salesman.
Welcome, everybody.
Hey, Johnny, what's going on?
Fish, what's going on? Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yeah, season 9, man. We're here.
I can't believe it. Shameless, I think, is actually season 9 as well. I don't even watch the show, but I just read an article about it's season 9. So we've been on as long as Shameless.
Yes, it's a shameless plug for 7-Minute Salesman. It's saying that we are as good as Shameless.
Right.
We have lasted just as long, 9 seasons. That's great.
Yeah, there we go. Well done. It's been a blast.
Yeah, and it's been a couple months, John. And what have you been up to?
You know, it has been a couple months. We took a little hiatus from season 8 and just kind of unplugged a little bit from the podcast over the summer. I know you and I had a bunch of stuff that we were working on, and I don't know, it just seemed right. You know, I think sometimes it just felt right to take a couple month hiatus to refuel and just come back strong, which I'm really excited about. But I think it also is important for a bigger universal message is for people listening, know when to take some time off. And from work, maybe you can't take off a couple months. Fish and I didn't take off a couple months off of work, just the podcast. But I think it's an important message to know when to slow down and when to unplug and when to just kind of reprioritize certain things to just basically to just kind of refuel. And so take some time off if you feel like you're burnt out. Not that we were burnt out, but it was a kind of a natural thing that we just decided to take a couple months off.
Yeah, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think as salespeople, one of the things that we do is we're on a continuum, whether it's a weekly, monthly, quarterly, however you get paid, however your commissions roll in. It's hard to take that time off because you think, like, if I take that week off and I blow $5,000 going to Mexico or wherever I'm going, I'm also losing money because I'm not bringing any business in during those times. And it's tough to really think that you're almost paying double for that vacation, or you're burning yourself out way beforehand just to make sure you can afford the trip because you're blasting through. So it's important to actually take that time off. There's a study, I just read an article about this where, and forgive me, I don't know the stats. I'm not going to try to spout them off. And it was one of those Google articles that pops up on your feed, so I really don't know too much about it. But it was saying that the importance of taking time off to just recharge it's tantamount, it's paramount, whatever that word is. It's something amount, John.
Yeah,
and it's very important that we do that because your brain recharges, your body recharges, everything recharges. Your batteries are fresh when you come back. You have a new perspective. You're able to get away from it all. It really does help your mindset more than anything else.
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually, this morning, I get daily things from Harvard Business Review. And one of the articles they had today by a woman by the name of Elizabeth Saunders was how to take the stress out of taking time off. And she, talks about planning ahead and partnering up with, the people that you work with and deciding, how to do it and how to sign off and unplug. It's a really interesting article. If you just Googled it, you can find it. And it also gives you time to kind of catch up a little bit because sometimes you don't even have to go anywhere to spend the $5,000 to go to Mexico like you were talking about. Sometimes take a staycation, take a day off and just catch up on your sleep, which again, there's plenty of studies there. And Ariana Huffington does a ton of writing, which anybody should read about the importance of sleep and recharge.
Yeah, I can actually tell you when I'm not sleeping well or when I'm burning the candle a little bit too much at both ends, my business, I can feel it slacking. I could feel it, slipping away from me every time. And I know now I've learned that getting that good night's sleep, just going to bed at like 8:00 at night.
Yeah.
And just recharging literally the next day, I'm way better and business just follows. It's amazing when you think about that. You think it's all these outside factors and it's really just inside. It's you.
Yeah, no, that is well said. So to the 7-minute listeners, I'm going to throw a challenge out there to either A, be more conscious and get an extra hour of sleep and maybe go to bed a little bit earlier, maybe wake up a little bit later, and also take how many days off? Take a minimum of 1 day off in the next 30 to 45 days.
Yes. Now, September doesn't have that many business days.
That is true.
So we have to be a little bit careful. And I want to point out that you challenge people to be more conscious of being unconscious.
I challenge people to be conscious.
People to be more conscious of getting more sleep. So you challenge people to be more conscious of being unconscious.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Okay. I thought I said that. Yes. Yes. I love the way you said that. That is exactly what I said. Yes.
Episode title: Conscious Unconsciousness, coming up.
Right. No. Absolutely, Fish. Absolutely.
All right.
And I just want to comment real quickly too. And we've talked about this on a lot of other podcasts, and we'll touch on it a little bit today. But there are less days in September because a lot of there's Labor Day and this and the other. And the next 90 days is critical, which we'll get into in a little bit in today's podcast.
Absolutely. So, John, aside from the timing and the critical nature of this quarter, what else are we going to talk about today? What are we?
Well, I think Fish, you have been. We've been talking offline, and you have been talking about, and you've mentioned a lot on some past podcasts, some things that our listeners have really connected with. I've really connected with, and I think it's worth exploring and going deeper into that. And that is that just the whole idea of prospecting and talking to clients, and the whole basically foundation and all that you get into it is if they're still talking to you, what that really means. And yes. I think that is worth diving into today, especially as we look at the next 90 days and business in general, and how important it is, and that we don't want to waste valuable discussions and conversations with prospects and clients.
Right. One of the things we talk about a lot is getting out of our own way. And seriously, we need to, as salespeople, get the hell out of our own way. Sometimes we really do create problems out of nothing. And I was thinking about something when I first got into sales. One of my leaders said to me, if they invite you into their house, you're almost there. If they offer you a drink, a glass of water, anything, and you accept it, the deal is sealed. Like, it's just, I don't know if you've ever had that phenomena go on, but if you're in someone's home and they offer you a beverage, you've got the deal.
Yeah.
And nowadays, we don't really go into people's houses. Like, there are still salespeople that go door to door. There's salespeople that go into your home, like whether you're buying, remodeling or windows, doors, that sort of thing. But most of our sales right now are either in person, like in the office, or just straight on the phone.
Right.
So I started thinking, how does that extrapolate? How does it go from that glass of water analogy or that glass of water situation to my business, where I'm doing it literally 99.9% of my business is straight up just over the phone. So I kind of came up with it. If they're talking to me, they're interested.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's so stupid, but I mean, the phone is such an easy thing. All you have to do is press one button and we're done. And you don't really have to even feel bad about it, like to end a phone call. So
right.
if they actually are giving me the attention, actually staying on the phone with me, they're interested in something.
Right. And it sounds so simple, yet it is so complex. So let's dive into the layers of that.
I like that.
Yeah. Let's dive. So what kind of talk a little bit, because you're so good at all of this. So how do you get somebody to still talk to you?
Well, again, if they're on the phone, we just ask them questions. Like, it doesn't need to be, so why are you interested in this? What's your goal? Like, just have a conversation. We've talked before about just listening, getting people to open up, just asking them. And we always talk about the open-ended questions. Ask them about their family. Ask them about their background. Ask them everything that you need to know to really funnel into your conversation and help you build your sale.
Well, I want to dig deeper into that, because I know digging deeper is kind of my word for, I guess, this podcast today. But I want to dig deeper into that because I think a lot of salespeople, I think a lot of business people fall short asking questions, listening and asking questions, which is, it seems so, fundamental that someone in sales should be good at that. I think many salespeople are much better than they think, but they ignore their intuition and their instincts, and they don't jump into the questions that they know they want to ask, they should ask, because fear gets in their way. And I want to kind of raise the consciousness of letting go of the fear of asking a question. It's not as if you, as salespeople, we are We are not NASA going in to fix a rocket. We are simply asking them a question to do something to solve the pain that they're in or to be the solution for them. And so our own insecurities as salespeople get in the way. And I think we need to kind of take a deep breath as salespeople and step into a little bit more of our courage and just start listening and tapping into our instincts and asking those questions. And if we fuck up and mess up, then we can clean it up.
Right. They say get uncomfortable or get comfortable being uncomfortable, right?
Yeah.
And that's an important thing, because it's funny if you think about the typical, I shouldn't say the typical salesperson, because I think some of our listeners are high level. I've talked to some people that just blew me away out of our community so far. But if you think about the fact that we spend so much time prospecting just to get someone on the phone, but then when we're on the phone, we prejudge, and we just kind of we take the easy way out instead of just working a little bit harder, asking the tough questions, when a sale is made, we're at the very moment that it's consummated, we're uncomfortable because we're asking them for the business. So we're getting out of our comfort zone. They're uncomfortable because they're making a commitment to us. So we're both uncomfortable at that time. If we're just comfortable on both ends the whole time, there's no friction. It's just like, hey, how you doing? Good. What'd you do this weekend? Nothing. Okay. What's new? Nothing. And it's that conversation that's just boring as hell.
Right.
Nowhere. But they want our product or our service. We want them to take our product or our service. We have to find that common ground instead of just letting it be, oh yeah, so you're just browsing. Okay, I'll be over here.
Right. And they want us to lead them. They want us to ask leading questions. They want us to be a little bit more. And sometimes when I say this, salespeople take this word the wrong way because they say, well, I don't want to sound like a used car salesman, but they want us to lead. They want us to be more aggressive. And when I say the word aggressive, they want us to ask good questions that get them to think and say, God, this person is going to lead me. And so I love what you're talking about, because if they're still talking to us, right, there's a difference between them still talking to us and them still on the line.
Yes.
Yeah. And so if they're bored, like you're talking about, if they're on the line and they're bored and the conversation's going nowhere, that's, as a salesperson, that's our fault.
Yeah.
Right. And so when you say, that's why I think it's so brilliant, if they're still talking to us, they're still interested. Well, they can only talk if we ask really good questions.
Right.
Yeah.
Challenge your customers, challenge your clients. I do something big where the way I look at it, especially because there's so much competition in my industry, if I give them exactly what they're asking for, that's the same thing they ask 10 other people for. Mm-hmm. So sometimes I find something that might make a little bit more sense. Or it might not make more sense, but it is a viable option for them, and I throw it at them because everyone else is just giving them that stupid blue suit analogy. Everyone's just giving them the blue suit. I'm going to show them some pinstripes too, because if I say, "Oh, look at this pinstripe suit, it's amazing," then when they say, "You know what? I don't like that much." Perfect. Let's just do the blue one. Should we just get this taken care of now? It gives you that easy close.
Right.
You're forcing that. You're giving them a forced choice close on a straw man argument that they didn't even ask about, but it works brilliantly. And because you offered them something different, and you didn't just kowtow and say, "Yeah, option A is definitely the best thing. Let's get us." Like, you didn't play the same game as everyone else. They're going to trust you a little bit more because you were looking out for them. You thought you might have had something that worked out better.
Right. And by doing that, and you nailed it. Right. By doing what we're talking about, you build trust. You build trust pushing out of your own comfort zone, asking them questions and putting things on the table that they aren't thinking about. That's the value that you bring to the table.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they could just order off a menu, right?
Right. Or they can go to the other 10 people that you talked about.
Right.
I think, to get people still talking to you, the key is to really, I think one of the keys is to continually understand the value that you bring to the table, fundamentally understand the value that you bring to the table, understand how you message that, and then understand the questions that you need to ask to guide people so they understand the value and that you understand the value that they need.
Right. And we've talked about this one before. If you don't make the sale on that initial call, make sure you do the equivalent of the girlfriend leaving the sweater behind. Make sure you leave a very good reason to follow up with them. Mm-hmm. Make sure you set a firm follow-up appointment and a very good reason, a specific, you said you needed to talk to this person and get this quote before we were able to move forward. And remember that, have that in your notes. So you could say, John, it's Scott, it's Tuesday. We said we would talk today because you were going to find out how much it was going to cost to handle this. Now I want to make sure we're ready to rock. Once you have that number, what is that number that you need? And just start off the conversation with a relevant follow-up. Just like the girl saying, hey, you know what? I think I left my sweater at your house yesterday. Can I come pick it up?
and I'm just going to tie it back to what you said. And you need to give them a reason to keep on still talking to you, because that theme of the way that you articulate that and package that, I think it's so great, because if they're not calling you back, you didn't give them a good enough reason to keep on talking to you.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And if you don't have a reason to follow up with them, the conversation can quickly devolve into, "Hey, I'm just checking in," and that gets
the worst.
Nowhere. And then they don't, they stop respecting you because you're not even like aggressive enough to hound them properly. You're just checking in,
right?
It's the most boring thing, and they're like, "Why are you even calling me?"
Right. And you don't want to work with somebody like that. I mean, you as not you fish, but the person calling, like, do you want to work with somebody who's like calling you back like, "Hey, I'm just checking in," like, click goodbye. Yeah. Right. Absolutely.
Blah. So, Johnny, you touched on the timing, and I think we're talking about basically this quarter and how it's
correct
going to ramp up. Let's touch on that a little bit, because this is really in your wheelhouse, and I want to hear a little bit about what you have to say about it.
Sure. So it's not even so much the quarter, because it kind of is a mixture of 2 quarters. But September, October, November is absolutely critical. It is a 90-day absolute, in my opinion, sprint, because it is one of the best times of the year to elevate your business, finish strong, and tee up your next year as a salesperson. You have 3 months where September, October, November, so right after Labor Day until a little bit before, maybe a couple days before Thanksgiving, where you have very few vacations, very few things that people are going to be out of pocket for. You have people who are in the zone, want to do business, have money to spend that they need to spend by the end of the year within their budget, and salespeople have quotas and pipelines to meet. And so a very aggressive 90-day plan that is very focused in metrics and ratios, KPIs, whichever one you use, with a high level of accountability. This is the time, if you have slacked through the year or over the summer, this is the time to course correct and kick some ass with your business plan. I would recommend a very detailed plan, literally September, October, November, highly detailed, highly specific, highly measurable, to know what you're going to accomplish in the next 3 months, to close out the year, to tee up next year, and know what and reverse engineer what needs to be done on a daily basis to kick some ass. And most importantly, and we've talked about all of this on past shows, have an accountability partner that you check in with every single day, because studies show, this has been a big study show, but studies do show that if you have accountability, your effectiveness increases dramatically. And most people say they want an accountability partner, but nobody really does. I'm encouraging everybody to do that.
Wow. That was good, John. For sure. The accountability is huge. I have to say, like, that's one thing that for years I didn't hold myself accountable, and didn't have people holding me accountable, because I honestly think I was kind of uncoachable for part of my career, because I was like, I kind of just held people, at arm's length, probably a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really open to coaching. And once I became open to coaching and started letting people hold me accountable, my business soared.
Yeah.
Like, I was already doing good, and I just started doing great. So I'm totally buying into that. So what you're saying basically is, don't freaking coast through the end of the year.
Do not coast. Listen, we all have this animalistic, aggressive beast within us, right? And now is the time to pull it out. We absolutely have to pull it out. Right? I mean, it is the time. I mean, because I'll tell you, and I say this to business people and salespeople all the time, Fish. If you don't, you will look back with regret, because once Thanksgiving hits, the average American, gains 8 to 10 pounds from Thanksgiving to Christmas. They're all about parties and socializing and this, that, and the other, and closing out the year. January comes, the first couple of weeks are kind of slow. You then move into February is President's Week, which is the second most traveled week of the year. All of a sudden you're at the end of February, beginning of March, spring break hits, and you're like, fuck, it's been 6 months. I should have really focused on September, October, November, and increased and gotten and honed in on some good habits, because the ones that do zoom in and really kick some ass are going to benefit and make more money and have more fun.
Yeah.
And just to circle back, are going to be able to take time to what we started off, are going to be able to take time off and relax more than the people who just coast and then vacation.
Perfect circle. My mind is blown, John. There's a mic drop right there.
So kick some ass, everybody. It's good to be back, Fish. It's good to be back.
Absolutely. Good to be back. Thank you for listening, everybody.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Now, no excuses. It's time to put everything you listen to into action. Stop bullshitting yourself. Stop lying to yourself. Stop listening and doing nothing with this information. Take this information, implement it into your day, kick some ass, grow your business, grow your sales, make more money, have more fun, have a better life, period, the end.
What he said.